Hello, my dear friends. We travelled a lot this year, and one of the adventures was to Hunan province. It's the birthplace of Hei Cha, dark tea. Of course, it's also made in other provinces, but at the moment, dark tea from Hunan is the most popular. During this trip, we visited Anhua. It's the place where the best tea grows on plantations. We went to the city of Yiyang, where the dark tea market is located. We visited the Museum of Historic Artifacts. It belongs to the owner of the tea factory, and we got teas from his factory. We've tried a lot of different teas, and we've chosen 7 that we liked, in various different forms: compressed bricks, pieces of logs, circular slices of compressed teas. A whole log can weigh 50 to 100 kilograms, or even more, and some loose leaf teas, with and without the well-known Jinhua, the famous golden mould, and some tiny tea cakes. We've bought all the possible forms of tea. All the teas are very different processing methods. Some are older, some are recently made. The tea is grown in different areas. Anyway, all the teas come from the same province. We'll start learning more about this tea. By the way, Jinhua is a type of bacteria. It's considered to be very healthy and has a very special taste. It's cultivated in special chambers. We'll show it to you a bit later. Jinhua golden mould is thought to be very healthy, and it gives the tea a very interesting taste. Not all types of dark tea are made with this bacteria, as I've said. That's it. Let's go. We've arrived at Yiyang city. It's about 200 kilometers from the capital of the region, Changsha. There's a small private museum here which is dedicated to Chinese culture. Special attention is paid to the local black tea. Here we can see old tea bricks that were made in the early 20th century. There's also a small tea log which dates back to the middle of the 19th century, and some tea utensils, and some facts about the history of dark tea in China. In ancient times, tea was packed in leather for ease of transportation, as well as for better preservation in case of high humidity. Mao Zedong was born in Hunan, so they pay him special respect. There's a quote here which says, "It's necessary to plant more tea for the people." And dark tea was perceived like that. It was people's tea. In Fujian, the story is different. Their tea was made by monks and rich people. Ceremonies were widespread. This tea is totally opposite. It's simple and cheap, which fully reflects the idea of revolution, so it belongs to the people. On this display, we see dark teas from all parts of China, including local black Hua tea, tea from Anhua, Guilin, Sichuan, and Pu'er. These are the famous Hunan tea logs. Weigh about 50 to 80 kilos. They were compressed to facilitate transportation. These logs were carried by horses. They even have an ancient saddle here. Here we see the history of the imperial decree that permitted selling tea to Russia. The tea trade with Russia started in the 18th century. The tea was sent to the city of Kyakhta, Odessa. This is a very special artifact. It says green tea, Imaruli tea in Russian. An interesting name. Made in China. This brick comes from the 50s and 60s, when the Soviet Union and China worked together. This tea was sent to Russia. In this hall, we can see different types of traditional porcelain. The owner of the museum tried to collect different types of items, of almost all possible styles. We see Zhuyao pottery, items from Jingzhen, items made in the times of the Tang dynasty, white porcelain, and many other art objects. The owner is a Buddhist, and this is the third shrine that we've seen here. Here, we can see different wooden objects from the times of the Ming and Qing dynasties. Almost all of them are carved by hand on different types of wood: sandalwood, redwood, and many others. It's a very delicate work, and we can see that it was made with great precision. For example, this dresser, with the smallest details and a large number of small drawers. These incredible beds with magnificent carved panels. And I particularly like this wardrobe with nephrite jade dragons. The wood is inlaid with jade, and the work is so subtle that it seems as if it's one piece. But we can see that these dragons consist of separate parts that are placed separately. But they look like a whole monolith. All the items are richly ornamented with Chinese symbols, like the clouds themselves, which are a common detail in Chinese art. You can see them here and on many other items. A dragon and a phoenix. We can say that it reflects the preferences of the owner. He likes them. But dragons and phoenix birds are fundamental mythological Chinese animals. They're important elements of Chinese art. These 4 wooden panels are inlaid with stone of the 4 famous flowers of China, including Mudan, the peony. This Buddha statue is very precious. It was shown in a Shanghai exhibition in 2010. It has a certificate that proves it was made in the times of the Ming dynasty. It's very detailed. There's also a censer and 2 special vessels. This hall is an exposition of the communist period of the history of China and the period of the Cultural Revolution. There's one interesting detail about these bowls. They weren't used for tea. They were made in 1968, and the faces of Hong Wei Bings are erased. They're the kids of the Cultural Revolution, and nobody knows exactly why they were erased, and it's done very carefully on all the bowls, neatly rubbed with an emery paper. It's not a coincidence. On the left and right sides of the doors in traditional houses, special good luck tablets are placed. Here we see 2 of them. One of them is made of compressed stone dust with golden paint. and the other one has porcelain characters. Every province of China highly respects its native kinds of art, and even simple, seemingly everyday objects reflected this. We've come to a factory that makes Hunan Cha. In this room, the famous logs are made. Processing is similar to pu'er production. There are two huge bowls. The tea, wrapped in a cloth, is placed there, heated and humidified with steam. The tea then becomes soft, and then it's put into a special niche with bamboo sheets in it. And then the tea is wrapped. It's shaped, pressed and packed. They have a couple of tea logs here. They're huge and weigh about 700 kilos. It's more like a museum artifact, but some people buy these. Cha, just like pu'er, is good for aging. It's an investment. Here we see how it's wrapped. First it's wrapped in soft bamboo leaves, then denser ones like this, and then go the strips made of hard bamboo. This is a special sterile room. The temperature inside is 28 degrees C. Here the jinhua is grown. This golden mold is considered to be extremely beneficial for health, and it makes the tea taste special. We're going to the warehouse. This is a different type of warehouse. Here there's no jinhua. That is, it's just cha without mold. And this tea was produced the previous year. The tea logs are sawn into pancakes for convenience of consumption. They look a bit like pu'er. This is the director of the factory. He's breaking some tea off the pancake for us. He's using a special tray that's good for cutting tea. And we're going to try some tea. He's using this much tea for the brew. It's similar to us, but I'd use more. I put twice as much, probably. Right now the owner has broken one whole brick. It's not that hard. They're quite amenable to separation by hand. And it's all covered with jinhua, golden mold. The little golden dots are very clearly visible. And it's this golden mold that's the source of the most useful substances contained in black tea.
1万年前，Anhua 是冰圈，这是冰圈下面的淤泥，上的就是那个石头，就冰纪岩。
The director of the plant told us that they love this golden mold because it's beautiful, like jade. She has a golden shine like nephrite jade. The Chinese like paying attention to small details, and it's considered that she not only has a great taste, but also external beauty. For them, it's very important. There are 3 qualities of good tea. First, it causes burping. The second is when it causes bloating, let's say. And the third, you feel an urge to urinate. If you don't feel any of these 3, and if your mouth gets dry and you get thirsty, then the tea was bad.
Просто хоть сам не снимать. Если бы стендапа не надо было снимать, я бы вообще камеру не сдала.
We're going to the legendary tea horse route. It's an important place near Anhua. Here they have plantations that produce tea for making dark tea. And you can see many old villages with ancient wooden buildings here. She's asking where we're from. This is a pretty unusual Hunan machine. It's similar to others, but it's almost all handmade. It was made locally. It seems to be made of a car wheel. It's made of anything they had around. And it was made in the 50s or 60s. They don't use it anymore. They have much more modern equipment. But they can use this one in case of emergency. The Hunan starts right after roasting. The tea is put in here. It's pressed down with this weight. Here they have a special surface that's made of wood. Wood doesn't damage the leaf so much. Then it starts working.
То есть раскручивается колесо
It all works manually.
полностью механически, без
It's
электричества.
not mechanized.
Вот так вот. И мастер
The
смотрит,
worker controls the whole process
как сырье готово. Вот здесь, соответственно, ставится корзина и
and then puts the tea down into the basket.
дикорастущий чайный куст.
This is a wild growing bush from Hunan.
Довольно сильно тоже отличается внешне.
It's very different from many other tea bushes.
Лист такой более темный,
The leaf is darker
у него характерна такая черная.
and has these dark edges.
Сначала подумал, что это какая-то болезнь, потом смотришь, что
At first, I thought it was some kind of disease,
деревьев растут, то есть вот эти, я так
but all the bushes are like that.
высадили, ну то есть он так условно дикорастущий.
These particular bushes were planted here on purpose,
Соответственно, черенки пересадили.
so they're not 100% wild.
Есть точно такие же, которые растут прямо вот.
But right here, they do have wild bushes,
И сами почки вот очень ярко
and the buds are very different.
отличаются по цвету от остального.
They have a very bright green color.
На вкус такой вот он очень нежный.
They have a very delicate taste,
То, что тоже
absolutely without bitterness.
то есть
It shows the overall high quality of tea that's made from these leaves.
Мы поднялись еще выше в гору.
We've climbed higher into the mountains
На большой
and come to a tea garden.
здесь уже кусты
The bushes were planted.
дикорастущие.
They're not wild,
Сорт самого чайного.
but it's the same cultivar.
Очень интересно то, что
We see fresh buds
такие вот молодые почки
that appear pretty late.
обычно уже в других провинциях.
In other regions,
Чай белый, у
the tea from buds is already being made.
уже чай готов к сбору. Однако здесь
But here,
дожидаются, пока
they wait for it to grow a bit older.
высоты, то есть даже практически отросток. Почему, кстати,
So that's why you can find some big stems in dark tea.
то есть здесь собирают чай где-то примерно
Here,
середины.
the picking starts in mid-May and ends in mid-June.
Большой черенок,
The bigger the stem,
вот, и
the more tea leaves you have.
собственно,
So you simply get more tea from the same bush,
и лист поэтому более грубый, то есть не такой
and the leaf gets more robust and strong.
довольно большой и зрелый. Вот. Кроме того, интересная
And
информация, то,
I
что
found out
красная кромка, я специально
the red edges of the leaves,
такая характерная кромка по всем.
and sometimes the whole leaf can be red,
Где-то лист там может быть
are the result of a cold weather freeze.
уже такой весь красный.
Actually turns out to be from frost.
От заморозков. Так как здесь довольно
So here it's quite high.
то листья,
It's pretty cold up here,
замерзают,
and some leaves get frozen,
замерзают тогда, когда уже достаточно тепло.
but the buds are unaffected
Молодые почки
and grow healthy.
Вот в таком доме живут
Local farmers live in a house like this one.
с чайным садом. Вот. Ну и,
When the
соответственно,
season comes,
собирают сырье и уже
they start picking the leaves,
загружают,
and cars from the factories come and get the harvest.
Весьма интересно здесь
The roofs here are pretty special.
у домов. То есть
We can see tiling on some houses,
можно встретить черепицу, но чаще
but in many places they use bark.
кора местный такой вот даже
The bark of a local tree that's similar to cedar and spruce.
такая вот такое дерево. И, соответственно, его с него здесь
Its bark is used like roofing tiles.
застилается как черепица. Вот, как я спросил,
They say that it can last for a very long period of time.
может лежать, практически не гниет, полностью
It doesn't rot, and it's waterproof
практичным средством защиты.
and serves as a very good roofing material.
Все, сейчас меня, короче,
They'll give me a ride right now.
Ну вот мы приехали на знаменитое,
We've arrived at a very famous resort
которое называется Cha Ma Gu
that's
Dao.
called Cha Ma Gu Dao,
Древний
the
лошадиный,
ancient tea horse route.
по которому доставлялся, как мы уже все знаем,
It
замечательный
was used for tea delivery from Hunan and other southern provinces to the north.
Китая на север, в императорские,
It was sent to the imperial palaces and to simple people.
северных регионов Китая.
Similar horses were used.
Такими большими вот эти
They carried the huge tea logs and bricks.
с каждой стороны лошади,
They went via narrow paths and mountain roads.
горным тропам и дорогам.
They went to the north for months,
Бывало и даже и по полгода
and sometimes even half a year.
на север. Так, именно в этом месте происходило
Right here,
случайных
the
караванов.
caravans were loaded before starting their adventure.
К сожалению, до наших дней не сохранилась
Unfortunately,
вся
not all the caravan infrastructure survived till these days,
благодаря конструкции современной мы
but this place was rebuilt, and we can see it now.
Cha Ma Gu Dao.
Cha Ma Gu Dao. But why is it called Dao, that means a path, and not Lu, that means a road?
Даже сложно назвать дорогой. Это такая вот,
Frankly speaking,
которая иногда была вымощена
it's difficult to call it a road.
земля. Вот.
It's a tiny path.
По узким ущельям. То есть
In some places it's paved,
и
and in other places it's just earth.
то есть сюда
It went through the mountains.
вот узким горным.
It always went through very narrow and mountainous areas.
Вообще связь
Horses and tea
и
are interconnected since ancient times.
довольно сакральная и давняя. То есть недаром
There are such things as Cha Dao,
Cha Dao, то есть
or
чайный
the way of tea,
Есть такое понятие, как Cha
Cha
Ma,
Ma,
то есть чайная лошадь.
or the tea horse.
Есть, здесь еще и
In
чайный
Beijing,
Дао в Пекине тоже, то
there's a
есть чайный
huge tea market
чай,
that's
и
called
вообще
Ma
там
Lian
чай
Dao.
всегда проходил на лошадях. Даже не обязательно
Horses were always used for tea delivery.
даже
even though it didn't necessarily go through this route. Horses delivered tea between regions and villages. So this connection between horses, tea and Dao appeared and survived this long period. The three were associated together, and all of them evolved the Cha Dao concept. This philosophical term that means the way of tea is somehow connected to this ancient tea route. Sometimes caravans consisted of hundreds of horses. This long road had many hidden dangers. Sometimes many caravans joined together to help each other. In the case of any danger, bad weather or anything like that. Sometimes the leading part of the caravan arrived in a village in the morning, and the last horse only arrived in the evening, sometimes even on the next day. We've come to a tiny shop in a remote village. They have only one bag of tea, and they sell it. It's a green tea, and it's something in between Sheng Pu'er and wild-grown Ye Sheng tea from Sichuan. It's no longer a green tea, but it's not yet a pu'er. The aroma is not very bright, but we'll try it.
Да. Да.
It seems that he knew what I was saying. Wow, it's good. It tastes like Sheng. I like tea like that. I always drink it.